January 29th. Happy Kansas Day. This is the date at which Kansas was admitted to the Union as a state way back in 1861, thus helping to trigger the Civil War, which was not a good thing anyhow, but if anybody cares, Kansas State. And today's topic is going to be on data collection. Before we get into data collection, I wanted to do something else briefly, which is to show you how to use the debugger in Jupyter Lab. How many people have Jupyter Lab installed? I'm sorry, how many people don't have Jupyter Lab installed? Good. Well, oh, one hand, I'm sorry. Okay, so get that installed, and then you can follow this advice here. Why use a debugger, right? What is a debugger? A debugger lets you look at the variables, it lets you set breakpoints in your programs, right? So debugging any moderately complex software is significantly easier if you can use breakpoints and watch points and see your data change and stop if something goes out of line and stuff like that. Print statements work great for simple code, but you have to remember to take them back out. Otherwise, when you run your software out in the field, it might accidentally print something like Wilner screwed up, which did happen to me once way back when I was a brand new starting off software developer at NCR Corporation back at the day. I left a statement in some test code and someone out there took it and tried to apply it in a lab at a completely different state, and they asked why it did that. And yeah, anyhow, so don't do that. Don't put silly print statements in your, well, do put silly print statements in your code, but make sure to blame someone else. Put someone else's name on there, yeah. And of course, print statements, if you're doing event-driven programming, which is what I did at NetApp for all those years I was there, was, and it's real-time programming. You have to get things to the customer right away. They're not sitting there waiting for the web browser, twiddling their fingers. They're sitting there waiting on, customer records for a giant bank or something like that, or, the nuclear codes for launching the, something like that to make sure you have that security. So you have to be able to get things, to where if you're testing it, you freeze the entire world, instead of doing a print where that one task is running a little slower than the other ones might, your timing errors. Also, debugging makes you cool, or a sufficiently relaxed definition of cool. It doesn't really make you cool, but if you're a programmer and you know how to do a debugger, you can impress other programmers that don't. So Anaconda, Python, Jupyter Notebook is disabled by default. It's relatively easy to enable as of the last September, and I haven't tried it again, but I'm going to try it in class today. All you do is find the kernel.json file, change a line that says debugger false, and change it to true, and then relaunch Jupyter, and everything will work. The hard part is finding Anaconda. So on Windows, it is, okay, yeah, so hang on, before I go there, let me bring up the, so I've got the Python stuff here. So this little bug here is the debugger, and you can see it's grayed out. So it's not enabled right now. So I can't turn it on because I have to go into the configuration file, kernel.json. So users, you app data local, Anaconda, shared Jupyter, so on and so forth, local. Was it Anaconda 3? Oh, he's installed this for everyone. Yes. There's no one online. I have recording turned on. Yeah. And yeah, so yeah, thank you for checking. But yes, I am sharing the screen and I do have recording turned on. View. Oh, hidden items. All right, this is all busted. We'll have to go up to C:/program data. And so what happened in this case, and I can't do it right now. Anyhow, so what happened was we had someone at the media services enable or install Anaconda on this computer, and they installed it for everybody. So anybody who logs in gets the Anaconda. Usually when you install Conda, it says install for yourself only, not for everybody else. And then that data lives in your directory under user u app data local Anaconda. So we'll have to figure this out later. Anyhow, so luckily I have screens up here. In a Mac, there's a location here, directory, same thing. In Linux, use your local share Jupyter kernels. And when you enable the debugger, your interface will change from this to this. And initially, all that will happen is the little bug symbol will be black. And you can then click it. It'll turn it on. You can then set breakpoints. You know, I have a thought here. Maybe it's already on and I'm just being too silly. View. And it is not in here. So yes, it's disabled. So to enable the debugger, then you can set breakpoints in your code. Over here, there's a whole bunch of there's a view debugger panel. You have to turn it on to get these panels over here on the side. There's your breakpoint, and the debugger panels are the variables, your call stack, so on and so forth. All the breakpoints are listed there. So useful code to do when you're trying to debug any moderately complex code. And it's useful to install that and understand it and work with it, even as a student with a small piece of code, because you want to be able to do it when the time comes that you really need it, right? So useful. All right. End recording.